Hello, welcome to another episode of Black Ice 73. I'm Black Ice 73. I woke up this morning. They had dude Nick Cannon all over Twitter saying he got fired. So I wanted to see. I'm like, Nick Cannon? It's not Nick Cannon, man. 'Cause Nick Cannon seemed like a down to earth person. Then what he said to me, just be honest, he could have left off by calling them savages. But what he said, I didn't see nothing wrong with it. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't see anything what wrong with it. He was just explaining that why people of our color is so disliked. And then, I like being honest with y'all. And then in a statement coming from the Iran president at the time, they had asked himself, why you all do not like, the people in the Middle East, why they don't like Israel. And the people of Israel said, the countries around Israel said, we do not like them because they're not the same color people who left that have came back. Then they asked him to elaborate what he was talking about. They were saying the people who left Israel was darker color. People who had left Israel, they were saying, what's the color of bronze. And then in the Bible, I know y'all ain't here for a Bible lesson, but they always like bringing up the Bible. But the Bible also said when the Romans came to conquer Israel, a lot of Israelites fled to Africa. And the Israelites who fled to Africa, or the Hebrews who fled to Africa, was the same color as the Africans. So they blended in, and the Romans didn't know what was Israelite or Hebrew, different from the people in Africa. But the people in Africa knew it wasn't Hebrews. So this is coming out the darn Bible that Hebrews and Christian read. I know it coming out the Old Testament, and people love saying the Old Testament is not the new covenant now. But like they like throwing up when the preachers like throwing up tithe and offering, they be asking for your money. They talking about in the Old Testament. So they going to talk about that in the Old Testament. Might well bring up what was written in the Old Testament about how the Israelites or Hebrews were ran out of Israel at the time, and their skin was dark color. And when they were ran out of Israel, they went into Egypt, and at the time, Egypt was full of dark colors before the Arabian people invaded Egypt and started mixing with the people of Israel, and then their skin tone started becoming lighter because of the Arabian people mixed with them. I know people, they want to pick and choose of what they learn or what they tell you to learn in the Bible, but when it comes to the foresight, everything wrong then. Everything wrong. The Old Testament is in the Quran. The Old Testament is in the Israel. I don't know what they name it about, but the Old Testament that Israel teach out of the Old Testament, the same Old Testament that in the Bible. So if you have studied Israel or studied the Old Testament, according to the Bible, the Holy Scripture, the people at the time who lived in Israel was black. And for a long time, it's black people who live in Israel now, Israelites and Hebrews. for a long time, just like Mexico did the black Mexicans. Israel denies them black Israelites. Like, nope. Just like Mexico did the northern Mexicans, they ain't claiming. It was just recent years. Matter of fact, Mexico just started claiming the black Mexican 2020. Even though documentaries and all that kind of stuff are made, it's just like, okay, now they Mexicans. Just like Israel. Israel didn't want to claim the black Israelites inside of Israel. It's a fact. You can look it up. This ain't something I'm making up. Then at the same time, it was Israelites, Hebrews in northern Ethiopia. In northern Ethiopia, the Israelite and Hebrews are black. But for a long time, they didn't want to recognize them as being Israelites. They wanted people to think the people who live in Israel now, they wanted them to think that was just one color. Just like the United States want the world to think that it's only one color of Native American. I'm telling you, they be telling you, they want you to listen, they want you to read, they want you to learn. But when you start learning and you seeing pictures, you seeing textbooks showing that the Native Americans who had their interaction with so-called Christopher Columbus and all the other pilgrims, the people they describe and the picture they painted of them Native Americans are black people. I know they tell you all black people come from Africa. But if you take your time and look at Africans who live in Africa, and you look at the black people that live in America, we don't look nothing alike. Nothing. From our body structure, nothing alike. Head shapes, nothing alike. But they're gonna tell you, and what they're teaching people in the textbooks of the United States, that all black people came from Africa. They're saying all black people that went to the West Indies came from Africa. All black people that in Europe, their ancestors came from Africa. So we start thinking, how many damn people live in Africa? It's so many millions of people was brought from Africa. Tell you, man, if you look past the junk they teach you in school and look into other, and you start studying for yourself, you will see the description in the picture they showing of Native American. They ain't show the people they call Native America up in Oklahoma or out in Idaho or whatever there. They ain't showing no picture of them. They showing people of my color. But the people of my color can't claim our ancestors because they automatically said, no, you can't claim me. You got to be African. My grandmother, my great grandmother, they let me know we are Cherokee Indians. But when you tell people, they start laughing. You look nothing like an Indian. Don't you know it's two sets or multiple sets of Native American? Because the same Native American, the Moors, I think the Moors or something like that, the ones down that had it, was in Mexico. You seen what color they were. They were black. So they're trying to say there were only one set of Native Americans, people. And when history book said, when we pulled up, we seen a lot of dark-skinned people in the on this continent. But history whitewashed and said, no, African. And then the textbook tell you the size of the boats that came from Europe that could only hold 12 to 20 people, including the crew. And those same boats brought millions of people from Africa. And then what it says, slavery happened 400 years. Imagine how many of them little wooden boats they had to have and sea out to sea. They would have to have at least 1,000,000 boats on the water at one time, transferring 20 million people to the Americas that took a round trip ticket from round trip from Africa to America, well, at least 2 months in that time. You're just gonna discard hurricane season. These wooden boats. This ain't no iron naval ship like they have now. None of that stuff. But I'll let you know, there was only African American. I know y'all gonna say I'm fishing, but look at the time. Look at the Native American image they have on the Washington Redskins helmets. Is that Native American dark? Yes. Is there any? Do it look like the pictures that they show of Native Americans out in the Midwest? No. Like they recognize that Native Americans are in Louisiana, but they can't claim their Native American ancestor because they automatically gonna put them as black people. Same way in Florida, the Seminoles, black people. They're black, the color. Cherokees, black people. I know I went all over the subject, but you know the description. Excuse me. The description they paint for Jesus, who was a Israelite, was a Hebrew. What description they do? They give you. Say he was a dark-skinned man with woolly hair, but like bronze. When you describe somebody like that, who you be describing? On this continent right now, who you describing? You're describing a black man. But you can't say it. Because the image they gave you as a Jesus was a blonde hair, white dude with blue eyes that lived in the Middle East. I'm telling you, they be telling you want to put something in a book, or you want to hide something black people, put it in the book. Then black people start reading, then they want to change the whole history of everything. Whole history, everything. I know some of y'all know, but if you look in the image of the Pope sitting down, but he kneel and pray to a picture that's supposed to be Jesus, and the picture is a black man. It's so easy to Google to see it. No Photoshop. It's so easy. It's a picture of a black man. So I'm not saying the people that live in Israel now is not Israelites or Hebrews. I'm just saying it's more than one color of Israelites and Hebrews. So what Nick said, like I told you, I don't agree with Nick calling them savages. But at the same time, I agree with Nick saying they can be a dark color. Y'all think, and the crazy part, they wanted the world to think that all Africans were dark skinned. They don't even count the darn white Africans that were living on the continent. We're like, oh, you African, you dark skinned. You think God created this world and just put all dark skinned people on one continent? when you listen to the history book, they said at the time before the ice age that all of these continents was connected. They said they were able to walk from one area of the world to another area of the world because everything was connected. So you're saying that everybody just, because it was connected, just stayed there? Even though they're showing in history that the world was trading with each other with food and silk and gold and salt. But they're saying it just one color. I got some audio. You know, I like to go ahead and give y'all some of the stuff that I think. And like I said, some of the stuff I think you don't agree with it. You might don't agree with it. But the stuff I tell you, it came from the Bible and it came from the history books. Or it came from other avenues that give out, or you can look up history. I'm not putting nothing out my behind. I'm just telling you the things that they want you to they say the information is hid in the book. I cracked open the book. I broke the code. You don't say, oh, the Bible is not real. Just tell me, is the Bible real or the Bible fake? Tell me. Because I have read that Bible. I know I ain't read the Bible in prison. I never been in prison for all y'all people. I have read the Bible though. That was part of our studies in the Church of Christ. You had to read the Bible. You had to know the Bible. You didn't have to. They wanted you to know the Bible. And I was young then. So as I got older, I took another gander at the Bible. Started reading, and I'm like, wow. All the stuff they teach you in Sunday school or in church, they do not teach you everything in the Bible. They just give you some doing one-liners. God created the earth in 7 days. But God created the earth in 6 days. He rested on the 7th day. Anybody went to church, they know that. Because that's one of the one-liners they give you. Or they tell you need a tithe and offering. Mean give you 10% of your money. But in the Bible, they don't have nothing to do with money. That's the way the preacher get to you. The preacher saying you got some preacher in the Church of Christ will say give what you can afford. But in a lot of them Baptist church or Pentecostals and all them kind of churches like that, they be like, give 10%. It's in the Bible. Tithe and offering. You know what the tithe and offering was? They were telling them to give 10% of their crops. When I say crops, they talking about 10% of the food that they raised during the spring and the summertime. And they're going to put it in when they said they were putting it inside a warehouse. Because when wintertime come around and it start hitting hard and you can't grow nothing, you got food to go to. Because you put your 10% in there. That's what they were talking about. But people in the modern days, the 20th century, 21st century, they turned it into cash. They're saying, until I read for myself, they had me thinking like, oh, you probably get 10% of the cash you made. No, it's 10% of the crops and stuff like that. And now that people don't have to live off crops or grow their own crops, they turn it into money. And then they look at it. I know this ain't a doing thing about Bible and church and stuff, but you know how I do. I get into that doing thing and the brain start like spitting out some information that I already learned, you know, and then what I was saying, and then that 10% of the money that you're giving, a lot of churches do not even help the people. They were telling them, no, you haven't paid your tithe recently, so we can't help you. But those same people been paid tithe for 10 to 20 years, and then they come through hard times of money, and they haven't paid no tithes, and then they said, we can't help you. Some criminal stuff going on. A lot of people. It's just like, no offense to the Muslims, but it have been public knowledge that a lot of people who live in some of the rural cities and towns who study under the Quran, a lot of them do not know the words in the Quran because they're illiterate. They learn from the people in the temple who tell them what they want them to know. Like they said, there's no such thing in the Bible, the Quran, saying if you kill yourself for the Muslim cause, that you're going to have 100 virgins wife waiting on for you in heaven. There's no such thing. But the people are illiterate and they've been told this, and that's what they hear, and that's what they doing, think it's right. But the people who are educated in the Quran will let people know the Quran do not teach violence. The Quran teach love. Love your neighbor, love your people. But if you illiterate and you got a madman who teaching you in the mosque, and you sitting there like, oh, this is what the great Muhammad was teaching us or telling us to do, you're gonna go out there and do it because you didn't know the information. That was just like the Bible with our ancestors when they first got forced to learn the Bible, or become Christians. They couldn't read. It was against the law in America for our ancestors back in the when they were held hostage or held as prisoners. They wasn't allowed to read. So the thing they were learning about Christianity is what was taught to them by the people who were holding them hostage in prisons. I know they make it say slavery, like slavery is a cool thing, instead of saying the real thing they were doing, holding people hostage and prisoners. I don't know. You're like, it's supposed to be about Nick Cannon. It is. Because that's what I said. A lot of that stuff Nick Cannon was saying is true. If he had left off calling them savages, there wouldn't be nothing on there they can hold him to. But he overstepped when he called them savages. And then he called us savages. Everything else he said, I bought that. We don't want to hear it. He called us savages. But it didn't stop Hillary Clinton's career. When she called black men super savages. Y'all don't hear me. You don't hear me. But you do hear me. But you understand what I'm saying. Hillary Clinton in the 90s called black people super savages when her husband was president, when she was the first lady. She went on to be a senator of New York, secretary of state with Obama, and then she ran for president twice. I didn't stop her career, but it stopped. But it has stopped Nick Cannon's career now because he called him savage. Like I said, I don't like just be talking, but like giving you some information or some of the stuff that what Nick Cannon said. So I'm about to let you hear some audio of what Nick Cannon said in 2019 on his podcast.
Then let's go to what it really is. Then when we talk about the power of melanated people, when we talk about who we really are as gods, and understanding that our melanin is so powerful and it connects us in a way that the reason why they fear black, the reason why they fear is because the lack that they have of it. So then when you see what Dr. Francis C. Welsing talked about is that fear and that
just genetic annihilation,
deficiency of when you have a person that has the lack of pigment, the lack of melanin, that they know that they will be annihilated. So therefore, however they got the power, they have the lack of compassion. That melanin comes with compassion. Melanin comes with soul. That we call it soul. We soul brothers and sisters. That's the melanin that connects us. So the people that don't have it are a little, and I'm gonna say this carefully, are a little less. And where the term actually comes from, because I'm bringing it all the way back around to Minister Farrakhan, to where they may not have the compassion or the when they were sent to the mountains of Caucasus, when they didn't have the power of the sun, that the sun then started to deteriorate them. So then they're acting out of fear. They're acting out of low self-esteem. They're acting out of a deficiency. So therefore, the only way that they can act is evil. The only way they have to rob, steal, rape, kill, and
fight or flight,
in order to survive.
Exactly.
So then these people who didn't have what we had, and when I say we, I speak of the melanated people.
Right.
They had to be savages. They had to be barbaric. They had, because they're in these Nordic mountains, they're in these rough, torrential environments. So they're acting as animals.
Right.
So they're the ones that are actually closer to animals. They're the ones that are actually the true savages.
How did you know, James?
If Nick had left that one part off right there. But I think it's more to that video too. Because they claim that he was saying the Rothschild had too much power and all kind of stuff. I got an article I want to read too. It's coming from the Jewish Journal. I didn't know the Jews had their own doing newspaper, a website, until this incident happened right here. They said actor Nick Cannon currently is under fire for the comments that have been criticized as anti-Semitic, including that Judaizers and Rothschild have too much power. It's on July the 12th. Jewish Insider reported that Cannon said in 2019 episode of the Cannon Class, Cannon YouTube talk show, that recently went viral on Twitter that people are giving too much power to the day. And then the day turned into the Illuminati and Rothschilds. He also said the Nation of Islam leader, Louis Farrakhan, he quote, "Every time I heard him speak, it's positive, it's powerful, it's uplifting. For whatever reason, he been demonized." If you don't know, a lot of Israelites or Hebrews do not like Farrakhan, because Farrakhan, well, Minister Farrakhan, I'm put some respect on that man's name. Minister Farrakhan is not afraid to express how he feels. Some of the stuff he said is not correct. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not part of the Nation of Islam. I will never be, because they assassinated my deceased a cousin from back in the days, Malcolm X, or Malcolm Little, his ancestors' people name. They assassinated him, so I will never join the Nation of Islam. But some of the things that come from Louis Farrakhan's mouth, he said a lot of stuff true, and he said a lot of stuff that is for the shock value, that don't have, it's not factual, but it's for to keep his brand out there. Because they said, especially with this day or age, the more people hate you, the more famous you get. That come and that just like I can't think of her name. Oh, that just like how Candace Owens do. Candace Owens she's a black lady, and that she speak more on the Republican side, but she do tweets just to piss people off. Sometimes some of the stuff she say is very knowledgeable. I like some of the stuff she said, but at the same time, she also says stuff just to get herself in the news. But there's an addition. Cannon claimed that Semitic people are the black people, and that you can't be anti-Semitic when you are Semitic people. When we are the same people who they wanted to be, and that's our birthright. There's a Jewish group condemned Cannon remarks as anti-Semitic, but he hadn't said anything wrong. Just the part I'm saying. If you go by the Bible and the description they paint Jesus at, and the people, the color they paint the Israelites at, the Hebrews at, they are melanin color, dark-skinned people. I know a lot of people got fooled when they seen that movie about Moses, and he was freeing his people from Egypt when they had everybody white. He had people thinking like all the Hebrews were white, all the Romans were white. So, yeah. They had all the people in Egypt white. All of them. There was no black person in the Middle East, according to that movie. They said, truly disturbing that Nick Cannon would use his platform to perpetrate false anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and lift up the anti-Semitic CEO Jonathan tweeted. He said he should apologize immediately and educate himself on why his comment is so harmful. You see who are mad. It's the American Jewish people who is mad, or the American Jewish article right here who are mad. But they're not saying that the people from Israel are debunking anything that Nick Cannon said. And if you pick up the Bible and read it, the Old Testament, you will see the stuff that Nick Cannon saying and what I said is not true. I mean, it's true. You'll see it's true. Explain to you. And they also describe people in color because it was a lot of people who couldn't read. So they try to paint a picture to you of what the person looked like. They said the American Jewish Committee similarly tweet. Nick Cannon spread anti-Semitic. They still ain't saying what he said wrong though. They still ain't saying what he said anti-Semitic. Besides saying that us American black people could be the true people of Israel. But in the Bible, it also said that the people from Israel who were drove from the country into Africa were also taken by boats and sent to the new land, to the new world. It's in the Bible. Everything I'm telling you now is in the Bible. So if you don't believe me, read the Bible for yourself. It will let you know. Everything I'm talking about is in the Bible right now. That people from Israel were drove out of Israel into Africa, and then the people from Africa or whoever, the Israelites were captured and sent to the new land. That's in the Bible. So it's the Israelites had left Africa and went to the new land. In the new land, they ain't said what the country was, because at the time it wasn't no country. America wasn't no country. America wasn't no country. It ain't had no name. Some people used to call it Turtle, well, the Native American called it Turtle Island. So if they were sent to a new land, and North America was the only land that wasn't spoke about in the Bible. So you can't tell me that some of the Israelites or Hebrews wasn't brought here and came in interaction with the people who were already native here. Y'all don't want to hear me. But let's say he was anti-Semitic conspiracy. What I'm reading now is a Jewish website. They said millions of his followers is unacceptable. I guess they're talking about Farrakhan now. His message of hate, they're talking about Nick. They said his message of hate has no place in our society and should be condemned by all people of good conscience. But what did he say? The hate. Only thing he said was that Black Americans, our ancestors, could have been the original Israelites. That's the only thing he said. That's what it said. That's the only thing. Cause you seen, I know y'all gonna say 300 is it's a TV show, but the people of Iran, all the peoples of all that darn region right there were Black people. They were just captured by the I said the name earlier. They were just captured and conquered by the Arab people. And the Arab people started mating, and all the dark skin were either ran out or they were phased out. Iran wasn't the color they are. Israel wasn't the color they are. Iraq wasn't the color they are. So on and so forth. Syria, all of them was dark-skinned people. Because the people who live in Israel now, like I said, I'm not going to say they're not Hebrews, but they also are their ancestors who were getting hurt by the German people, Hitler. Those are the same people that America got up after the war and put them in Israel. That's a fact. Look it up. Because some of the Israel leaders talked to the coalitions, and they told them after this war, we want our own country. Did you hear what I said? It was just in 1940 something. The Israel leaders said after this war, we want our own country. Because most of the Israelites or Israel people that live in Europe, the continent Europe, Asia, South, all that junk, all that connected. The people who were living in Europe, they weren't living in the Middle East. They were living in Germany, Holland, France. They were living in those areas. They were in Europe. It wasn't the people who they said, the Israelites who live in Israel now wasn't living in Israel. They were living in Europe. And after the war, the United States gave them Israel, saying, this is y'all country right now. They didn't have a country. And some of the stuff they ain't going to tell you. They did not have a country. The people who are living in Israel now, they ain't have a country. Look it up. Look it up. CJ. You're right. All right, see you later. Take care. Hold on a minute, I'll be right back. Sorry, I'm back. I had to go in there and lock the door. Yeah, the people who living in Israel now, they wasn't living in Israel. Their history started in 1940 something. After the World War II in Israel. Look it up. You was a history person, you know I'm telling the truth. The history started in when the war was over, like 47, when they were granted Israel. And then they had their first major war because the United States gave Israel their own, gave them weapons and stuff. And until this day, the United States still get Israel weapons. And they gave them, and Israel basically been defending their own country that were given to them by the surrounding countries. So the people who surround them see them as intruders. They don't see them as the people who had the ownership of Israel. Look it up. Google make it so easy to find out that information. Hold on, man, I gotta answer this call. Hello? Celeste not here. And can I take a message?
Yes, this is Liz with Page Forming. I'm calling her to give a reference that area of concrete.
Okay.
Going on and hasn't been.
Okay, you can tell me. I'll let her know.
It'll be roughly $3,500.
All right, I'll let her know.
Okay, just tell her to call me back if she like to do or whatever. I need to get her email so we can send her the estimate.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, later. Sorry about that. I had to take that phone call. But I'm going to read some more of this article that's coming from the Jewish Journal. It says, Associate Director or Dean of Global Social Action Agents at the Simmons Vicento Center, Rabbi Abraham Cooper told Jewish Insider. They said, anyone seeking a PhD in Jewish hate should watch this interview in its entirety. They said, Farrakhan hateful squads on full display in the next generation, including the 21st century, through cultural figures and social media. Pure poison. So rabbis saying, calling Nick a student of Farrakhan, and he teaching them hatred. I still don't know what Nick Cannon said nothing wrong. I know it might be me, but he still haven't said anything wrong. Other than saying that black people, what the true or one or the true. No, he said black Americans are one of the true people of Israel. That's the only thing he said. He ain't cursed no Israel's Hebrews out. He didn't tell them he want them to die. He ain't said none of that stuff. He just said black people were part of the Israelite nation. So now they're saying anti-Semitic. No, it's crazy. It's a stand with us. Jewish Executive Director Michael Dixon asked about the cancel culture and anti-Semitic sentiments in a tweet about Cannon. He quote, "I'm not a fan of cancel culture, but if you get canceled for doing something racist without intent, what happened next for Nick Cannon, who willfully spread the most anti-Semitic conspiracy theory and hate on his show," he wrote. But he ain't say anything. He ain't say anything that you can't learn in the Bible. What is hateful saying black people like Hebrews? What hateful for that? They said this former New York Democrat Dov Hikind tweeted that this watchdog group, America Against Anti-Semitic, Semitic, is calling on Fox to take immediate action against Nick Cannon for his nasty anti-Semitic. Cannon hosts The Masked Singer on Fox. They quote, "You cannot remove Farrakhan 1 week and allow his followers to spread the very same filth in the next without consequences." Reference the Fox Soul Council is scheduled broadcast of Farrakhan July the 4th address. They said, here's an update. They said Cannon issued a series of tweets stating that he has no hate in his heart or malice intent. He said, "I do not condone hate speech nor the spread of hateful rhetorics." He added, "The black and the Jewish community have both faced enormous hatred, oppression, persecution, and prejudice for thousands of years, and in many ways have well continued to work together to overcome these obstacles." Man, Nick, don't understand. A lot of these Jewish communities don't think it's right to have them compared to black people. Black people, the only thing I would hold against American black people is a few things. They're very forgiving, and they're always trying to fight someone else's cause who won't even say any words to help fight the cause of the American people. Like in 1947, I think the World War II was over with. It was somewhere around that time. And when Israel was established their own country. But it was still segregation, Jim Crow laws in America. You still had lynching and all that stuff going on. You never heard one time a Jewish person speak up and say, "Y'all are wrong. Y'all treat these black people wrong in America." But a black person will speak up in a minute for Hispanics, Jews. It's like they want to just join in somebody else's fight or organization who won't even help fight on their cause. But they do. Nick Cannon wrote, when you look at the media and other sectors of our nation's history, the African American, the people of the Jewish community have partnered to create some of the best and most revolutionary work we know today. He talking about TV. That's it. He said, I'm an advocate for people's voice to be heard openly, fairly, and candidly. In today's conversation about anti-racism and social justice, I think we all including myself, must continue to educate one another and embrace the uncomfortable conversation. It's the only way we all get better. They don't want to hear that junk, Nick. Nick, they want you out of here. They want you gone. They want your career in television to be over. No, they won't. And some of the dominoes have failed. Viacom or Barracom have parted ways with Nick Cannon. He said, I encourage my healthy dialogues and welcome any expert, clergyman, and spokesperson to any of the platforms to hold me accountable and correct me in any statement that I have made that has been projected as negative. Like I said, he ain't said anything negative. Only thing he said, black people was Hebrews. What negative about that? They said, until then, I hold myself accountable for the moment and take full responsibility because my intentions are only to show that the beautiful human species, we have way more in common than difference. So let's embrace those as well as each other. He said, we are family. What Nick don't see, we're not family. Because if we be honest, we are not family. You got some people who love black people from different races. But you got some people from different races or different religion background despise black people. Yeah. But still, I guess it's just me. I don't see anything Nick Cannon said wrong. I could be mistaken, but my opinion, I don't think he said anything wrong. Because everything he was talking about, except Farrakhan, that is in the Bible or is in the history book. So if he said something wrong, that means the Bible is wrong. Our history is wrong. We know most of the history is wrong. We know history has been whitewashed so many times that you can't even take it serious or you can't believe in the thing they have a lot of time. Because anytime you make our ancestor forbidden to speak the language they were speaking, to worship the God they were worshiping, to force them into your European thinking. History will always be changing. Thank you for watching the video. But once again, what I said, or what I'm saying, or what I said, is all in the history. You can look up everything I told you today. You can look it up. And you can find it. It's not something I made up. It's not something I'm putting out the bottom of my out the bottom of my shoes. Everything I said, you can find in the history. Not even the history books, you can find it in history. You look at other sources, you'll see it. You Google it now, and you look at the American, Native American, you'll see the dark skin. You open up the Bible, you'll see what they painted the description of Jesus and the other Israelites and Hebrews. But it ain't gonna make no difference. On my post, on my video, they ain't gonna say it. It ain't meant to be seen. I'm not large enough. I don't keep up conspiracy junk or keep up controversy. But thank you for watching the video. If you make it this far in the end and you haven't subscribed after looking at what I just said, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and hit the notification bell. I might come back and do another video. But thank you for watching this video right here, my one person. And I'll talk to y'all later. On my laptop, I don't want to cooperate.